Hello, you're watching TVP World, and this is World Talks. My name is Sasha Fahrbach. The EU-Mercosur trade deal, decades in the making and signed just days ago, has thrown European politics into turmoil. On Wednesday, 334 MEPs narrowly voted to refer the agreement to the Court of Justice, potentially delaying it for up to 2 years. Now, the world's largest free trade zone now faces an uncertain path to implementation. Now, while Germany's Chancellor signals provisional application, critics question whether safeguards for sensitive sectors like agriculture and regional products are sufficient. At the same time, European leaders are holding an emergency European Council summit on Thursday to navigate the choppy waters of the transatlantic trade amid the EU-US relations. So to address all these developments, we're now joined by Piotr Kaczyński, EU Institutional Issues Lecturer, European Institute of Public Administration. Good to see you again. Welcome.
Good morning. Nice to be back.
So I guess right now, when we had this massive trade deal, or were supposed to have it, it looked like it was opposed, then it was signed. Now it's not really going anywhere. What's the latest? How did we get here?
You're asking about the latest, or you're asking to how did we get there? It's
all right,
two different
let's go about the latest right now.
So the latest is, of course, that the European Parliament just referred the question on ratification mode to the Court of Justice. And the Court of Justice will take its time to look at the issue, but there are real issues. And this is where we can take a step back because, look, international agreements are quite tricky in the European Union because they should be ratified by all the countries. And here we saw that the Commission said, no, not everybody has to say yes for this. And we saw that some countries said actually no, but there were not so many countries, right? Poland, France, and a few others. But Italy, of course, is the biggest game change. We were talking about it before. But should all the countries say yes or not? And that's exactly the question that the Parliament is asking the court to say whether the Commission make a little mistake over there.
Mm-hmm. But just correct me if I'm wrong, and do tell our audience, because it's on the area of trade, which very much, because of the complicated entity that the European Union is, on trade matters, it should be the European Commission that does collectively do this on behalf of these member states. So this also seems tricky now. Tell us.
That's exactly the kind of the trickiness of it. Where's the borderlines between that pure trade and this added element to it? So are we just talking the machines, cars, and chemicals? Or are we talking much bigger cooperation out there that includes also those sensitive areas, including agriculture, but also digital, for example? You have so many topics out there. Mm-hmm. So there are two agreements here. Commission probably, and Chancellor Merz as well, are going to ask for provisional, let's say it's going to be done provisionally.
And what does that mean provisionally?
For those trade issues.
Mm-hmm.
But how exactly it's going to work, we'll see what the Commission will do. Probably machines, trade goods that we are exporting or importing will be much cheaper for here and over there.
Mm-hmm. So on the face of it, I mean, we've seen over these past months, I mean, the deal itself, 25 years, but especially these last months, as it was towards the finish line, we've had farmers on the streets in Poland, in France, in Belgium, across the European Union. Also recent, these last few days. They will look at this as a victory. Is this a victory for them? Is this a Pyrrhic victory for Europe? Who wins, who loses here?
Look, my bet is that this is a lobbying exercise. What we have seen, that agricultural lobby is one of the strongest lobbies out there in Europe, and we saw once again how strong the agricultural lobby is. But I'm not saying they are wrong in everything they are claiming, but what I'm saying is that they are extremely cautious, because all the agreements we have seen over the years that were always controversial for the farmers are proving actually not so terrible at the end of the day, even for the farmers. Look at the EU-Canada trade agreement from the past. Look at the accession of Poland to the European Union over 20 years ago. Those agreements were very controversial for the farmers in Poland as well. Mm-hmm. And then 25 years, almost 25 years, but not yet, 22 years after accession to the European Union, farmers in Poland are one of the biggest, let's say, victories. Mm-hmm. from everybody here.
Also, that vote to refer it as well, I mean, as you said, it may take up to 2 years. We're still waiting on what that means. I mean, the vote was really, really close by about 10 votes off, 334 MEPs referring the deal, 324 against, some abstentions.
Yes and no, because there were 2 votes and it's a close deal. But there are those couple of countries that were critical in the council who said no to that agreement. And if the parliament failed to ask the Court of Justice of whether this agreement is done well or not, then those countries would make that question.
There's more on politics I want to ask you, but I want to jump also, staying on trade really. Wednesday also saw the suspension, also by the European Parliament in Strasbourg, of this deal that was supposed to go ahead between the United States and the European Union. We had that back from last summer, really essential for both sides. That's now been suspended. I mean, all this news moves so fast. Where are we with this? Is it now realistically stopped? Will this now be referred? Where are we now with trade with the United States?
The trade with the United States is a kind of, there's plenty of politics out there. There's no stability at all. One day we have new trade embargoes against French and others, whoever sent one soldier to Greenland, pretty much. And 2 days later, it's gone. So within this context, Greenland, the parliament said no, because we here in Europe, this is like, somebody is basically coming to you and you think they are friends and they are slapping you into your face. This is what happens. And once you are slapped, you are shocked. But after the shock, you're pretty angry. And this anger just came out.
So a lot of things moving at the same time. We have many world leaders, European leaders still at Davos. Many are going to be summoned to this emergency informal meeting, as they're calling it, of European member state leaders in Brussels. That's going to be happening tonight on Thursday. Is that pressure now off, as what Trump has kind of gone to the brink and stepped back? He won't have these punitive tariffs. How will that mood be in that council meeting with all those European leaders meeting today?
Well, I think what they need to do is to get to each other and check out where we are and where they are, because to be on the same page is very important for pretty much everybody, and they need to talk about it, especially with the Danes, but also Poles. For example, if you had last week a question about Greenland again, and Greenland is asking, please help us, right? And a few countries actually said, okay, we're going to send a few soldiers to Greenland just to manifest that there won't be really it's not going to be so easy for Mr. Trump. And then who sent it, who didn't send it? It's like, who is your ally, who's not your ally? So I'm sure that Prime Minister of Denmark is going to ask everybody else, like, hi guys, what's going on in here? Are we really so close? Is this a family or what? And Prime Minister Tusk, for example, will have to say why not, why Poland did not want to send anybody or anything to Greenland to protect Danish territory.
You said it's informal, so it'll sound out where people stand, but having these very intense last few days with also Donald Trump here in Europe at Davos and everything else that he was signaling before, how do you assess where Europe is right now, the European Union collectively? Are they coming out of this week stronger, weaker, something in between?
They are fighting to stay united. I think this is the new environment in which the European nations leaders are, and they simply need to know where they are, because they know they are friends, but the world outside has changed so dramatically since last time they've met, since they had their last European Council in December, properly discussing Ukrainian questions, deciding on Ukrainian questions, and those small steps are being taken also this week in the European Parliament, in the Council as well, 90 billion euros for Ukraine. So right now, since December, so much has changed, and there were so many issues, not not only Macron's new glasses, but so many other issues that they need to simply talk about it. And the next European Council will be in March, the big one. And until then, they clearly need to communicate between themselves. So this is what's going on right now. Don't expect any big statements, or it's not as important, because the Europeans are not going to do what Trump is doing, that, we will or will not have new problems out there in the world. Maybe he's going to, he was talking about Iceland, was it? Also this week. Well, Iceland actually is saying that maybe they are going to ask Europeans to join the EU. Whether they do or not is Icelandic question.
Yeah, and I think also it's hard to tell, but we have to make sure that viewers understand that connection between the US and the EU has been always a close one, and it's also mutually beneficial for both sides. Look, we'll have to close it there, unfortunately. Piotr Kaczyński, always a pleasure having you here with us. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for watching. That concludes World Talks, but stay right here on TVP World for more. Goodbye.